Friends, at a developer roundtable, we had a great question. How do I create a magic link and send it out through a message run? Well, today we're going to investigate this and let me show you how this is done. This is really common for you'll notice it with password resets. Anytime you want to give someone some sort of link where they don't actually have to log in, but you still need to validate the data, so on and so forth. There's a lot of uses for magic links and all that. And with Aptify, where this comes in and how you're going to do this is the beauty of message parts. So if you've never used a message part before, you have message templates and you can put in static HTML into your message template. What a message part allows you to do is take a section of that and segregate it off into its own component, in this case called the message part. And there's two options to these message parts. One, it can just be static HTML, or two, it can be scripted. And when it's scripted, it means you have access to all the fun stuff we have in Aptify with scripting. So yes, you can run some SQL, get some data back, and then build out your HTML dynamically. One of the best examples of this is the out of the box invoice component, which will actually, dynamically render not only the order information, but the order lines in a nice little table. So let's take a look at how this works. So I'm in here in Aptify. I still highly recommend for this kind of stuff, still do it in the desktop app. While the script editor in Aptify Web is fine, it works and all that. To each their own. Desktop still has better overall support for it. So message administration is where you're going to want to go. Message parts. And we're going to create a message part here. So given a name. In this scenario, we're doing this is based on a bad address. So this would be someone gets their address flagged as bad address. We send them this thing so they have a one button click to go update their address. It's kind of the idea scenario here. Give it a description. Type by default, it's going to be standard. We're going to choose script. You do have component, and the idea between a component is instead of doing the script in the HTML section, you would actually write it in a C# library and then link it up. To each their own. Category, base part. I'm not going to dive into base parts. There's more on that. You can check out the Aptify help documentation. Parent-child inheritance, fun stuff. Allow everyone more for if someone is doing the actual message wizard. Can they actually insert this through the message wizard? Because the message wizard also supports these parts. And availability, either anything can use it or just the source tied up to this. In my use case right now, I'm not going to go in full depth of all of these. We're just going to jump right into the script because it's all we really care about. So HTML tag is where we have our script and that. So good old VB.NET for Aptify. Just make sure you can see this whole thing. So what we're doing here is I am using statement just for fun garbage collection. So what we're doing is we're getting a data table here. We're using our standard OData action.get data table. I am really simplifying this. Depending on what you're building in that, this is a little bit more, you don't have to use parameterize, is a little bit more safe because it's all internal operations. But technically you should probably parameterize this. I was lazy. So what happens with a message part, what gets passed into it is the GE object that the message template is being run from. So in our scenario here, because this is a bad address, so this is going to be based off of persons. So what I have access to in the context of this script, which is why I can use the fancy, where we've seen it before, the magic thing to bring in the fields, is we have the concept of the person GE. So in this scenario, I'm just doing a little thing to get the ID and the address ID. Of course, if you're doing this for something else, this would probably be much more elaborate. But this is just a showcase. You can then run your view or your SQL to get back the data. Do a little check that we actually got the data back. I guess I should mark up this. O response dot markup string. You need this little doohickey. This is Aptify sort of magic thing so that it will actually essentially do the string dot replaces to input the actual field value into your statement here. Data table, and then we're going to do just get the object. I am just building through string, just a JSON string here. So now we're going to build whatever it is the object is. I did in JSON format. If you want to do it in query string format, or you want to do pipe delimited or comma delimited, to each your own. But the idea here is this is the string. This is the object that we are going to encrypt, and it is going to function as the query string, the encrypted query string for our magic link. So in this one, doing something super basic: person ID, address ID, and the timestamp. And then we're just going to use the built-in web cryptography from Aptify. Feel free, bring in your own encrypting and web cryptography language, whatever you guys want. That can be done here. So this one's really easy: aptify.framework.web.common.webcryptography.encrypt. That will give you your encrypted string. And then I'm going to build the HTML out as a string. So it's just going to go to my fictitious page, doesn't exist, and bind on x equals the encrypted value. And you can use whatever you'd like here. And then we're going to use oresponse.write text line. And you need this part. So this is what actually writes the text out. So you can have one or many of these, but no matter what you do for this message part to actually output the text into the email body, you do require this guy. And that's it. That's all we need for the script. So again, the idea is we run some sort of SQL to get the data we need. We then create a object, or essentially a string object, that we can encrypt. We encrypt that object, and then we output a link to the URL it's supposed to go with it as the query string. Okay, so there's step one. We now have a message part. Okay, step two is we now need to put that message part into a template. So this is going to be our fancy little message template. And that, so of course, give it a name, your category, your subject line, your message system, and that I am using a little Mailgun plugin and their developer side of it. So message template, and then in your HTML, how you actually insert a message part. It's not the from text. It's a little wonky, but this is also that when it actually runs through the renderer, it can pick up that it's correctly a message part. So you're going to do the and syntax for less than underscore Aptify underscore part underscore the ID of your message part, and then in quotes the name of it, and then and greater than. So we are, and then this is going to, during the renderer, when it's rendering the actual HTML, full out HTML for this, what it's going to do is when it hits this, it's then going to execute our message part. It's going to pass in the context of the GE that this template is being run on, execute all this, and then it's going to write out this, and it's going to get inserted right there. Okay, so now we've got message template. Let's see it actually run. So I'm going to go back up here, and where's my favorite Aisha? I'm going to open up Aisha. Yes, this is the Aptify stock database. Now, I have already set up all the event handlers and everything to auto trigger this. Stay tuned for the next video, as I will be going through how to set up all the auto triggers to do this. So for my Aisha, I have this bound to when bad address is selected. We're going to hit save. Don't mind my slower system in running in Docker, SQL Server Linux, and it's got very limited memory because my computer doesn't have a lot of memory. So, okay, so we've saved. Let's go actually take a look at the message run. So we pull up message runs. Okay, look at this. Now we've got our message run. Ta-dum! Completed, approved. So, if you've never looked at this before, what actually happens in this HTML, you'll see in the HTML body, this is actually the HTML of the template, not the actual rendered version of that. So that's gone. And if we go over, give me a second, let me pull over. Open Microsoft. Ta-dam! Okay, so now we got our little email, Aisha Baldwin, update. So you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner there, the big long thing. And if I just copy link address, because this is a fake site and my computer's going crazy. If we paste it in here, you'll see there's our URL with our big blah, 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 blah encrypted string. So from here, now you would go to your website, whatever that web page is, however you've programmed that component and all that. Of course, grab that query string, pass it up into your SOA, or if it's eBusiness Classic, decrypt it, and return and do whatever that page needs. So very quickly, that's a magic link. What did we do? We created a message part, which grabbed some data, created a string, encrypted that string, and outputted the HTML hyperlink for it. We then threw that on a message template, which then, when those message templates run, sends it off to the user, who can then click it and do what you need it to do with. So it's been fun, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.